Hello, and welcome to the What, When and Why podcast. I'm here interviewing adults doing lots of different jobs to understand how their school and university choices have and have not impacted their careers. There are so many decisions we need to make about our education. Hopefully, the discussions give you some helpful thoughts, and most importantly, they should reassure you that there's no reason to stress over every single little decision. Today I'm speaking to Hester Shaw. Hester lives in London and has her own risk consultancy business, where she helps large companies better understand the risks to their business. Hi Hester, please tell a bit about who you are and the job you currently do.
So my name's Hester and I live in South East London. I grew up in Berkshire originally and then moved to London for university and have stayed here ever since. My job at the moment is I work in risk management. So that's all about helping organisations to manage the impact or understand what could happen, what could go wrong with their business. So something like a pandemic, how to understand what impact that could have, and then help them to manage it. So help them to perhaps put things in place to stop the impact. And at the moment, I am doing a project for Network Rail about supply chain risk. So it's all about the risk of their suppliers failing. So what would happen if they couldn't get the materials or the services that supplier was providing, and how to perhaps Network Rail respond in order to keep the railway running.
That's really interesting, thank you. Please tell us what other jobs you've done and how they linked to each other.
Sure, yeah. So I guess my career has been, I always describe it in two halves. So I started my career originally, I'm a chemical engineer by education, and originally I worked in innovation and technology for Unilever. So I used to do a lot of work around developing new food products, managing projects to deliver those new food products onto the shelves. And then the second half of my career has been focused on risk management. So primarily for actually food companies, retail, pharmaceutical, so kind of companies that are manufacturing something. So Network Rail is a slightly different example, but I would say they all link together in that they were all very supplier based. So we'll have a lot of reliance on third parties, and the way of thinking, whether you're developing a new food product or managing risk, needs that practical and a pragmatic approach to thinking. And I tend to have worked for really large organizations. So I have my own consulting firm, but I go and work for other organizations.
Cool. And looking back a bit further, what subjects did you study at school and university?
So at university, I studied chemical engineering. But I also have, when I finished my chemical engineering, I did a law conversion course. So I also have a postgraduate diploma in law. And at school, it was very much so A-levels in maths, chemistry, physics, and at GCSE I did a real range, so history, geography, French, religious studies, through to obviously maths and physics and chemistry as well. But yeah, mainly the science subjects really.
To do your current job, what are the skills that are required?
So my current job involves a lot of interaction with a lot of different parts of the organisation. So it requires quite a lot of influencing and negotiation to not everyone always perhaps prioritises risk management, because it tends to be something that you perhaps can't visualise. it's become a lot more high profile recently, obviously, because we're dealing with something quite unique. But in normal days, you need to really influence and persuade people to take it seriously. So there's quite a lot of that. A real ability to listen, I would say, and understand different people's priorities, different people's what they're doing, what they're delivering, so that you can help them to identify what kind of risks might be faced. I do a lot of training and engagement in education, so I really need to always find a million different ways of describing the same thing, and thinking about how do you teach someone how to manage risk, or educate them, or get people excited. So also quite a lot of creativity, or just thinking creatively around how can I bring this to life for people.
Cool, thank you. How did the subjects you studied help with those skills?
So I would say that subjects I studied helped, probably the skill I didn't mention so much, but a real ability to think logically and come up with practical solutions and problem solving. And definitely engineering. It's a really broad subject, engineering, so it covers quite the technical side, so the science and the how to build a factory, for example, but it also covers quite a lot of business side as well. So how to make this work, how to make money from what you're developing. So it's a real problem solving, the logical thinking, and the law course has really helped me draw multiple different people's opinions together. So law relies on quite a lot of subjective thinking, actually, because it's about interpreting the law, it's about interpreting the cases. And so that sort of way of thinking and way of looking a bit deeper at rather than just taking something on face value.
Going back to your school, what was your favourite subject and why?
My favourite subject was chemistry, mainly probably because of the experiments, and also my teacher was brilliant, so just really brought it to life. And for me, it was really good. I really like maths as well. I really like problem solving, and it's very logical as well. So I think chemistry, compared to physics, it feels a lot more logical and easy to understand, even from a younger age. So you don't need a lot for certain experiments. You don't need a lot of background information. You can see it very visually.
And are there any subjects you wish you had done?
I wish I had done more languages. So I've worked all over the world without speaking a language, but I am always jealous of people who can flip between different languages. So we had a choice between Spanish and German at my school, and everyone said because of my science side, I should learn German. And actually, I really wish I'd learned Spanish, because I love Spanish as a language now.
Outside of studies, what was the most useful thing you learnt in your youth that helped your future career?
Good question. My dad was always really real philosophy around making the most of every day and taking advantage of every opportunity. So for me, it was learning that and learning to, I think, positivity and embracing every opportunity. So in terms of my career, I have worked in quite a lot of different roles and jobs. So I was made redundant from my first job, and then just took the opportunity to become a freelancer and work in as a consultant. And I think without that confidence from an early life around, making the most of opportunities, I might not have taken that opportunity, and that's really taken me in to so many interesting projects and lots of different organisations, and I love that about my career.
Cool. And as you think about your career and your life, what advice would you give to the 15-year-old you?
Good question. It's a while ago, but I think a few things, like definitely keep taking advantage of opportunities. I think that's made a huge difference to my life. I think as I've got older, I have realised that everyone has insecurities or concerns, or everyone's sort of projecting an image, and I think understanding that and realizing that that's perhaps driving certain behaviors has been really invaluable in later life. So I think, a kind of advice of not getting too hung up on how other people are acting. Everyone's got stuff going on, so I think, be more confident about yourself and about how you're feeling. And I think, kind of that listening, if someone's acting in a strange way, it's often because they are feeling threatened and perhaps insecure. So I think, trying to understand that has been, would be, as a 15-year-old, I definitely didn't appreciate that.
Okay, thank you very much for talking to us today.
No problem, you're welcome. Good luck with your podcast.
Thank you. So, it was great hearing from Hester. It was interesting to note that because of her science and engineering focus, everyone encouraged her to learn German, when in fact she now wishes she had learnt Spanish. Thanks for listening to this episode of the What, When and Why podcast. The next one's coming soon. Keep track at whatwhenandwhy.podbean.com.